Then it was, how are we going to garden, right? So everyone knows, like, you do the plowing or the rototilling, and then you set up your rows. And obviously, we showed up on the scene, and we were hanging out with the Amish. So we thought, yeah, we're just going to do it like them. So we started with a 10,000 square foot garden for 2 people. And I actually bought a team of Belgians, and I was out there like working a team. Never in my life.
Well, we never had anything to do with them. Yeah,
right.
That was
So I learned that like right from scratch, right? And I had a team of Belgians, and I'm plowing up the ground, and I'm using the harrow and the disc.
No, and I remember we went and got the Amish boys to come over and kind of help him and all that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the house, like oh please.
Yeah, it was fine. So that's how we started gardening, and that was, like I said yesterday, if you were here, was because that's what we saw. So we tried to emulate that. So a lot of you guys are going to watch people on YouTube or your friends, and you're going to think, hey, they're doing it that way, and then you're going to emulate it, and it might not be the best way, right? So we tried that. We did that for 2 seasons.
And then the 1 year, it was the drought in Missouri when it was like 100 degrees for a month, and it didn't even cool down at night. It was horrible.
We were pumping water out of the pond, putting it in a 275-gallon tote, and then using our truck to take it over to the garden so we could water the garden. And then the following spring was like the wettest spring in like history of Missouri. Like our garden was like drowning and flooding, and we'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, everyone just let their gardens go because they were so yellow. You couldn't do anything about them.
And then that's when we moved on to the raised beds, and the Back to Eden method is what we're doing right now. So if you come to our channel, you're going to see stuff like where we're comparing the two as far as bounty goes and everything else. But right up front, we'll tell you that Stacy loves the raised beds much better than the Back to Eden gardening.
Well, okay, the Back to Eden garden I love right now for my perennials and my fruits, and it's only been going on 2.5 years or so on what we have on it, so it needs to go a little bit more, but I'm starting to see things are starting to come out of it better. But for me, in the middle of summer when it's 100 degrees and I'm all by myself and I'm out there I can go out there when the sun goes down and they're about to hear, I can do whatever I want. I can spend hours out there even when it's hot. I love my raised beds. How many do we have now? I have so many raised beds.
I keep adding to them, I forget.
I have so many raised beds. And how long are the big ones?
Yeah, 8 foot long.
They're 8 foot long, and how wide?
4 foot wide.
4 foot wide. So he puts them all over, and we have them all in like patterns. He's made me lower ones. I keep adding to it. I'm telling you, they're great. But like you can't like do corn or anything like that. You need more room for that. But if you're going to be doing, I put my tomatoes, I put lots of peppers, I do my greens. I can do my cucumbers. I mean, I do lots of different things in there. And
just remember, like amazing. Up to this point, we still don't have running water. Like we've been there 7 years, and for 5 years we hauled water in 1-gallon jugs and 5-gallon buckets. Boom.
Yeah, I knew. Every place I would go, I always had my bags. The bags you get, like the grocery bags that you get at the paper or the paper or plastic ones. So I would go, and I had to make sure they were heavy duty because I blew out so many bags. I would go, if I was going to a friend's house or wherever, I had my jugs and I was filling up water. And then whenever we would go anywhere, we would fill up the 5-gallon buckets, getting the lids on them. I mean, we have a big collection of it, and that's how we got by. And then finally, we got the rainwater catchment. He figured it out, what would work best, because our barn, I guess, how many foot drop is it from the barn?
It's about 8 foot, but the sink in the barn, in our log cabin, is at the level to the tanks in the big barn that we collect the rainwater on. So water always finds the path of least resistance. So it worked out perfectly. I'm like a genius on accident, but it worked out perfectly where I put the cabin because we were able to feed that, and it comes out. I mean, if you guys go check out our video, raise your hand if you saw it already. All right, so how do you think the water, like I showed you how the water comes out of the faucet. I know, but how do you think it looks in here, like when you heard it? It looks like normal, like you turn on a city tap, so that's pretty good. The lower the water obviously gets, the less pressure we have, but really it works like a dream. And we get 40 inches of rain or so in Missouri, so we have our friend is with us. He's from Arizona, and he gets like 1 or 2 shots a year to collect water, so you have to have more capacity. But for us, 3,000 gallons for 2 people with the amount of rain that we get here is perfect. We never put a drop of chlorine or anything chemical in our water, and we use it, it goes flowing, and then it replenishes, and we haven't had a problem.
So one thing that was kind of interesting that we learned through this process, we were debating if we were going to get like the pitcher pump or he says, you know, we don't have to get a pitcher pump. I think we can do it with the faucet. So we had gotten the faucet, and what was interesting about this, I guess the codes or how, tell them about the faucet.
Our government decided to put regulators on them. And you got to have a certain amount of PSI for it to actually work through there. So we had the nice little faucet because I got her some new countertops. You know, first we were using wood, and then, you know, you're cutting on it and everything. So we got something more heavy duty. So she was all excited. She was going to get the older, you know, the nicer faucet, and then we put it on, and it's like, where's my water? They put those regulators in there, and I couldn't get it out. So I actually just made a faucet myself.
Yeah, out of the little pieces of pipe or whatever. But what's good, this just happened this year, it still would have problems, like when the filters were going bad or whatever, and sometimes the water wouldn't come out, and then it would be dripping out. I'm like, something's wrong. What's wrong? It's not working. We got water up in the, you know, barn. So there was something that was getting...
You wore it out.
I did.
That's all.
But what he did was he went and he changed. What'd you change in the pipe?
Just the faucet type.
Yeah, I have the kind that it's not the round one.
Just watch the videos.
It's a different faucet. It has like, it's more smooth and the way it turns.
It's
so
more
now
smooth.
the water comes out perfectly and it's wonderful. And we have not had any problems. So my water flow is spot on finally after a long time.
So husbands, take some notes. You know, if your wife wants something really bad, you know, just kind of puppy dog her along for a good couple years. So then when you do it, it's like fantastic. Look at her. She's like, oh, the new one's so smooth and it works great. I love running water. This is fabulous. If I would have done it back 7 years ago, it wouldn't have had the impact.
Okay, and then another thing that uses a lot of water is your washing machine, right?
Yeah.
So we have a
Ringer washer.
Ringer washer. Kenmore? I always forget.
Kenmore, yeah.
It's a Kenmore, but see, what it is we kept looking, and the Amish all around us use the Maytags. So I wanted a Maytag, and I guess I really didn't pay attention too much. So we found a washing machine, and so we went and got it, and then we're all excited, and we're taking it to the guy who puts the motors on them. And we go there, and he's like, I can't do this because it needs to be a Maytag. So we have this washing machine that we can't really use with the motor on it because we didn't have a Maytag.
So you guys aren't getting what she's saying. What the Ringer washers, what they do
He'll
in our
explain
Amish
me.
community is they actually put a dedicated little Honda motor underneath it, and they re-rig the pulley system inside so it operates the washing machine independently of anything. So we bought this washing machine, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I can't do nothing with that. So basically it's the same concept because we'll just turn the generator on and run the washing machine. So it's the same kind of a thing.
And then I have a clothesline, which is amazing.
She loves her clothesline.
I love my clothesline. Nothing smells better than clothes in the line. Even in the middle of winter when they get frozen and they're stiff, they smell phenomenal. And it's so hard on days if it's like really humid and things won't dry, or if it's freezing cold and we're having like 80-mile-an-hour winds and I need to do laundry. I'll go to the laundromat. But it is amazing. I don't like to dry my clothes because I'm so spoiled because the sunshine just does so much and the wind does so much for your clothes.